Have you ever felt like you missed your chance? Like you're too old to start something new? Maybe you look at others and think they got started earlier, they had better opportunities, or their timing was just right. Today I want to tell you about a man who got his biggest calling at 75 years old, and why that story should completely change how you think about your own life right now. Maybe you're 45 and considering a career change, but worried you're too old to compete. Or you're 55 and thinking about moving closer to family but afraid of starting over in a new place. Perhaps you're 65 and wondering if you still have purpose, if your best years are behind you. I understand those feelings, and I want to share something that might surprise you. Let me introduce you to Abraham, not when he was young and ambitious, but when he was 75 and completely settled. Picture this. Abraham had been living in Haran for years. He was established, comfortable, probably had routines, friendships, maybe even grandchildren. By ancient standards, he was well into his senior years. There was no obvious reason to leave everything behind, no clear sign that change was coming. But then something extraordinary happened, as in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 to 4, we read about God's call to Abraham. God said, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." Notice what God didn't say. He didn't give Abraham a detailed business plan, a GPS route, or a timeline. He simply said, "Go." And here's what amazes me about Abraham's response. He did exactly as he was asked and went. At 75 years old, he packed up his entire life and stepped into the unknown. Think about what Abraham had to overcome: the fear of leaving security, the opinions of others who probably thought he'd lost his mind, the practical challenges of moving an entire household, the uncertainty of not knowing exactly where he was going. But Abraham chose obedience over comfort, faith over fear, and God's calling over human reasoning. Here's what I want you to notice. God's promise came with the calling. Before Abraham took a single step, God promised to make him into a great nation, to bless him, and to make his name great. The same God who calls you to new things is the same God who provides for those new things. Age was never mentioned as a barrier by God, and it shouldn't be a barrier for you either. Now, let me be practical with you. This week, try these 3 things. First, spend time in prayer asking God to show you one small step towards something new. Don't worry about the whole staircase. Just ask for the next step. Second, write down what you'd attempt if age wasn't a factor. Be honest. What dreams have you shelved because you think you're too old? Third, talk to someone who started over later in life. You'll be amazed at how many people have stories of second chapters that were better than their first. Remember, Abraham became the father of nations at 75. He didn't just start over. He started something that would impact generations. Your best chapter might still be ahead. God's timing is perfect timing, even when it doesn't make sense to us. What's one thing you've been putting off because you think it's too late? What dream have you buried because you believe the lie that your time has passed? Share it in the comments below. Let's encourage each other and remind ourselves that with God, it's never too late to begin again. If this message has provided you with value, if it's given you hope or encouragement for your own journey, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment. Your support helps us reach more people who need to hear that their story isn't over. Together, we can build a community that believes in second chances and God's perfect timing.